Hello, good morning. So I grew up in the suburbs of Minnesota to a set of immigrant parents in a community where diversity meant going to Panda Express for dinner and then watching my big fat Greek wedding afterwards. So when I came to Los Angeles for school here, I was wide-eyed and bushy-tailed. I flew halfway across the country to go to school, and I was absolutely intimidated by everything and everyone. I met Theresa Chang the third day of my freshman year. She was a USC alum who was then, at that time, working for this national organization that was student-run, student-led, and fought for the rights of workers all around the world, both internationally and domestically. It was a really beautiful thing, and she was telling me about the work that she did, and she asked me if I wanted to resurrect the group on campus that was fighting for workers' rights that had kind of died down since she graduated. Obviously, I said yes because, first of all, I was so intimidated by her and I wanted to impress her, but mostly because I wanted to get involved with the work that she was talking about. She told me about the conditions under which most of our clothes that we're wearing right now are made internationally, and more specifically, the clothes that are made in our bookstores. They're produced in factories in third world countries where workers are paid such low wages that they're barely able to put food on the table, let alone, pay for their students' education or their children's education or healthcare or any of these other basic necessities. They're made in conditions where workers are regularly abused, harassed, and because over 80% of the workers in the international garment industry are women, it's not rare to hear about sexual abuse cases or forced pregnancy tests. Also, these conditions can very oftentimes be deadly. Just in 2012 alone, over 600 workers died in factory fires producing clothes for Western companies. In Pakistan, 289 workers perished because of a factory fire where the factory doors were closed, windows were barred, and workers had absolutely no way of escaping the building other than jumping out of high stories from the building. One of the scariest parts about this one particular factory fire was the fact that just weeks prior to it, it was given one of the highest gold standard certifications available to factories, and it was specifically told that the fire safety conditions were stellar. So with this knowledge and this information, I armed myself freshman year, and I was ready to take on USC and start this movement. But I waffled around, didn't really know what I was doing. I held a couple events, put on a couple meetings. Nothing really happened. Sophomore year, I came to school and I started a kickoff meeting. I held the first scale meeting of the semester and absolutely nobody showed up. So I called Theresa that night and we made an outreach plan. I set up a Facebook event, I talked to my friends, I even bought cookies. It was gonna be great for the first kickoff meeting, and again, nobody showed up. So by this point, it had been 2 semesters of me trying and failing over and over and over again to get this movement started. And even though I knew about the conditions that these workers were working in, and I knew that we had the power as students to change these conditions, I convinced myself that I wasn't good at this, that I wasn't ever going to be able to start a student movement on this campus. And so I called Theresa that night, and I think that she could hear, something was wrong in my voice. I told her about what happened at the meeting that day, and she stopped me and she said, the hard truth of the matter is that this work is really, really difficult. We fail as activists and organizers over and over and over, and nobody really likes to talk about it because, who wants to talk about losing? We focus on our victories because those are the things that give us hope, and those are the things that keep us moving forward. But what's important for you to remember is the reasons why you do this work. What's important to remember is that you believe that workers all around the world, that human beings all around the world deserve to work in workplaces that are fair and just. But most importantly, what you need to remember is that you believe in yourself because, Julia, I believe in you. And I think this is probably one of the most pivotal points of my activism career. Growing up in a community where I didn't look like all of the people around me and I would never completely fully understand their culture or backgrounds, I didn't want to be different, I didn't want to stick out and I didn't want to not fit in, and so I ended up suppressing a lot of who I was because I wanted to be the same. And I think that was how I ended up convincing myself that, I wasn't capable of starting anything on this campus. And so when Theresa said those words, it was like a light bulb flicked on in my head. And shoot, that idea of self-confidence and not believing that you have self-worth, I think is something that all of us probably have dealt with at some point in our lives. But when she said those words, "I believe in you," it made sense all of a sudden, because we are all here at this university because somebody believed in us. Whether it be a teacher, a coach, friends, our parents, siblings, whoever it was, somebody told you, yeah, apply to USC. That's a really great idea. I believe in the fact that you should pursue your dreams and aspirations and that you can achieve this amazing education from this institution of higher learning. So with this knowledge and more information and gained self-confidence, I regrouped, we built up our organization, and over the next 3 semesters we held rallies and vigils. We met with countless administrators. We held weekly letter deliveries to President Nikias, and we rallied student organizations and faculty members and community groups, and finally, just a few weeks ago, we learned that USC, after 13 years, was finally going to affiliate with the only independent monitor that has a proven track record of protecting the rights of workers all around the world. Trojan apparel is no longer going to be made in sweatshops, and this was absolutely amazing. But the coolest part about all of this is that this doesn't just happen on our campus. This happens worldwide. Now, I want to tell you about this case study that's so fascinating to me. 2 years ago in Indonesia, there's this factory called PT Zone. Workers there were producing apparel for universities all across this nation. And they started realizing that, hey, we're not getting paid for our overtime work. Our women aren't getting maternity leave and people are being harassed and abused on a regular basis. Let's fight for our rights. The brands found out about this and they decided that the cost wasn't worth it, and so they pulled all of their orders out of the factory, and overnight, 2,700 workers were out of work. Under Indonesian law, workers like this are legally owed severance pay, which is kind of like an unemployment package. And companies like Nike and Russell Athletics, who are operating this factory, they paid their portions of this legally owed severance. Adidas, on the other hand, decided that this wasn't something that was part of their control, and they didn't want to pay the $1.8 million that was owed to the 2,700 workers. So the PT Zone workers reached out to students in the United States and asked us to help. Hundreds of students all across the nation started putting pressure on their own administrations to demand that Adidas pay these workers. And over the course of the next 2 years, students held demonstrations at Adidas stores. Students, rallied their community members, rallied their campuses. They targeted celebrities like Selena Gomez and Justin Bieber, who had ties with Adidas. And they ran the most beautiful campaign. 17 universities cut their contracts with Adidas because they believe that workers deserve to be paid and that they shouldn't have affiliations with companies that didn't respect their workers. And we found out just 2 days ago that Adidas agreed to sit down across the table with these workers and have conceded to every single one of their demands. The workers are getting paid their severance, and this is all because of students. And so this is what student power looks like. This is what people mean when they say, think globally, act locally. And this work isn't easy. By no means is organizing or activism an easy thing to do. But thinking back to the moments like when I had that phone call with Theresa, or thinking about this 13-year-long campaign that has been run on this campus, and the fact that we won, and thinking about the workers, the 2,700 workers who are going to have a way to feed their families and provide education for their children, those are the moments that make this work worth it. Now, my passions obviously lie within labor organizing, and I'm sure most of yours don't, and lie within other things, which is great. No matter what it is that you want to see change in the world, what truly, truly matters is that you believe in your own voice. What I've learned through labor organizing is that I need to believe in myself and in others and see the potential that we have the ability to make legitimate change that we want to see in this world. What organizing means is that we need to be willing to fail over and over and over again, but not lose hope. What organizing means is combating those types of internalized oppression that we put upon ourselves and society places upon us, and find empowerment. And what organizing means is that we are going to do whatever needs to be done to make the changes that we want to see in this world, because at the end of the day, we understand that our actions will have this amazing impact on people all around the world, and including on our own lives. Thank you.